Here's your TLDR for the Atlas Brew number 131, DAO Council Debate. Starting off with noteworthy news, Briggs and DMark have dropped out of the running. Make sure that you adjust your votes so that they actually go to someone who is running. Santi and Jose took turns asking questions to the candidate. They would reply, someone else could interject, they could reply again, someone else could interject again, and then the initial candidate can still respond, each only getting 1 minute. Should the council be voluntary or paid? Bodhi says it shouldn't be purely voluntary, but it shouldn't be large enough to attract opportunists, and he'll donate any amount that he gets. Brian called him out, saying that all last week on Discord, Bodhi was saying that the council members should not get paid. How do you expect to get talent if it's an unpaid position? Bodhi responded saying that he wrote a pip a while back saying that there should be no great material benefit. The main incentive should be a vested interest and a love for the project. JP thinks that it should be compensated and hopes that the community will be thorough with the election process. Compensation could be polis state, things that reward but still lean into the ecosystem. Bodhi agreed that vested interest is way better than compensation. There can be any number of perks. That's not just cash compensation. Should council members be 100% doxxed? Brian and JP agreed. Being doxxed brings trust and people work better together that way. Bodhi countered that Star Atlas could 100x, so there's a lot of risk in doxing. Brian then claimed that Bodhi thinks that he's going to be assassinated. Emperor says that you should at least be doxxed to the team and the council, but Brian thinks that you should be doxxed to everyone. And the community that was listening generally agreed. Is there a conflict of interest between being a big Star Atlas holder and a council member? Drum Carlos, JP, and Brian say that there's no conflict. There should be diversity on the council. Drum Carlos thinks it's concerning that big bag holders can vote for themselves, and Brian thinks that the conflict of interest comes from inside information. Should council members be able to propose their own pips? Emperor and JP said yes. Emperor says that as long as it's transparent with the community, and if you're going to benefit in any way from the pip, you have to make it known. JP says that if it directly impacts that council member for the pip, then they should sit out on the voting. Should council members have more power or influence than they currently have? Funcracker says no, we need to actually make it more concrete, so there's not room for shenanigans. Drum Carlos says that it's important for each council member to understand the job and its limitations. Emperor thinks that in the beginning somebody needs to be in charge, that they need the power right now and will eventually hand it off to the people. Funcracker believes that we should not be confused with the founding fathers. The DAO is already here, they're just here to streamline the process. Brian thinks that they need more power, that they need decision makers, but also polis holders ultimately have the power. Right now we need fast action. Funcracker thinks that the council doesn't need that much power to do what they need to do, especially if it's uncontrolled and unchecked. Everything should be controlled and checked, and that means pips. Is it the council members' role to drive specific topics or views as a DAO as a whole? Notcats says it's up to the community to find out where areas are lacking in pips. The council is there to encourage participation, not to point out any side. Funcracker says that their primary objective is to make sure that the system is streamlined and to help everyone move through the process of pips. Their secondary objective is to create pips and ensure that we're moving in the right direction. Notcats says that we should put pips forward, but he's not going to impose his opinion. We should let the community take the path that they think we should take. Emperor says that we're not supposed to drive anything, we're supposed to facilitate. Jithblade agrees and says that we're structuring things to make sure that we have a solid government structure. Brian says that we are ambassadors of the DAO. We need to be talking to others about Star Atlas, and that this is a perfect opportunity to do it. How and when should a council member be removed from the council? Jithblade says if there's a complete vote of no confidence, or if they breach the trust of the DAO, the council, or automata. Emperor's downtown board says that if they miss 3 meetings in a row, they're removed. But we set the rules for the stage. There should be an internal structure and a pip vote. JP says that what triggers a vote of no confidence should be set in stone. If someone's underperforming, they should be taken to the community. People shouldn't be forced out if they're not that great, but ethical concerns, violations of NDAs, there are things that can be easily defined. What's the best way to use the DAO treasury? JP takes a defensive approach on spending. There should be records, quarterly reports, and a treasurer. Ejota says that the council shouldn't be choosing which programs to fund. The people proposing and voting for pips should. Brian says that the Star Atlas ecosystem saves 20% of the DAO treasury to fund community projects. Right now, we need more participation. We need to grow the pie. We should fund projects that are reasonable, viable, and voted on. First-person shooter tournaments, development projects. JP says that even if we have 20%, that should be the limit, not the target. Jithblade says that we need to look at the current income to make sure that we're first paying the foundation consistently, and then to grow the budget. We need to look at what we're bringing in to plan out the rest. Notcat says there are 3 focuses: ecosystem growth, investment, and rev distribution. The priority should be getting more visibility for our ecosystem. JP says it's too early for rev distribution. We need to have positive, sustainable revenue first. Should council members be able to voice their opinions on the contents of a PIP? Ejota and JP agree. Everyone's entitled to their own opinions, and JP says that the reason people vote for council members is because they respect and trust their opinions. Funcracker and Giancarlos disagree. The council shouldn't be influencing anything, but just making sure that the pips go through the process. Emperor had an anecdote where he voiced his opinion to the board as a board member, but still made the motion supporting the community. Each candidate had 1.5 minutes for closing. Ejote says that we are at your service. The council is working towards helping members complete their pips to make it well-formed so that we can thrive. Bodhi's focus is on the frameworks that improve quality of work within the council. Transparency, dialing in compensation, how we're going to hold council members accountable, and the election process. Brian says we need to grow the pie, user acquisition. He wants actions, not ideas. Reporting is important. Weekly updates, funding updates, spreadsheets. This is everyone's council. Giancarlo says that this goes beyond our guilds, our factions, and our friends. We need candidates that are consistent, determined, have knowledge of the game and the community. We're in this together, and he values community, transparency, and efficiency. Emperor says that if you want someone with real-world experience running governance, then he's your guy. He's played every iteration of Sage, and he represents the small guys and the big guys. Funcracker says it's power to the people, not power to the council. Our purpose is to make sure that Star Atlas is here to stay and have a flourishing ecosystem. The council should be a facilitator in the governance process, and it should be transparent. Now let's get to work, and Notcat says it revolves around 3 axes: internal operations, how we get together, distribute the work, and make decisions; external operations, how we're going to be transparent and streamline the pips; and marketing and expansion, participation, and more visibility. Jithblade's goal is to build a strong, sustainable governance structure to move Star Atlas forward. He's dedicated to making this process work. He's got experience in activism and education on politics. And JP brings a difference of perspectives. He wants Star Atlas to be successful because the growth of the industry is too important. If you want someone with different perspective from outside guilds and projects, then vote for him. He's got experience in DAOs, councils, business, and project management. That's it for the brew. Thanks for watching.